Hey, special educators. Welcome to Teach TaskBox Inspire, the podcast dedicated to making your job as a special education teacher easier by making your instruction more fun for you and your students. Inside each episode, you'll learn how to get the most use out of your task boxes in the classroom. I'm your host, Lisa Holiday from Chalkboard Superhero, a veteran special education teacher passionate about empowering you with purposeful teaching strategies, helpful tips and tricks, and other classroom management tools that will help you thrive in your role. Let's get started with today's episode. Hey there, special educators, and welcome back to another episode of Teach TaskBox Inspire. I'm your host, Lisa Holiday, and today we're diving into a topic that's incredibly important for all of us working with children or teens or tweens. It's 5 ways to help students manage big emotions. Whether you're a seasoned educator or just really starting out, we all know how challenging it can be when our students experience overwhelming feelings. So let's explore some practical strategies to support them in managing those big emotions effectively. Managing emotions might seem like a simple task at first glance, but really, it's actually quite complex, especially for growing children, teens, tweens. It's not just about feeling something. It's about understanding those feelings, managing stress, knowing when to use coping strategies, problem solving through challenges, and asking for help when it's needed. All of this can be a lot for little minds to handle, which is why our role as special educators is such a crucial thing in guiding them through this process. So let's talk about some big emotions that our students might face every day, right? So anger, worry, fear, shame, maybe frustration, embarrassment, confusion, and even excitement. It sounds like I'm talking about an Inside Out episode or movie. If you've seen Inside Out or Inside Out 2, I highly recommend it when you're talking about big emotions. It's a really great visual for students. It is a Disney movie. So these are just a few examples of really intense feelings that students can feel overwhelmed on any given day. When a child is struggling, the first thing we notice isn't the emotion. It's the behavior that comes along with it. And this might look like kicking, pushing, yelling, or even destroying the classroom. Other times it's a little bit more subtle, like refusing to work, not wanting to come to the table, sitting in your cubby and not wanting to come out. These behaviors are communication. They're telling us, I am having a hard time right now and I don't know how to handle it. It's our job to listen to that message and provide the support they need to kind of navigate those feelings. This hits home for me because my daughter, who is now 5 going into kindergarten, is one with big emotions. She is always showing us with all of these behaviors and communicating because she feels like she doesn't know how to either communicate or get what she needs or wants. One key point I want to make is that all students will struggle with managing their emotions from time to time. It's normal and healthy. However, some will need more support than others. That's kind of where proactive teaching comes in. Just as we teach all those academics like reading and math, we need to also be teaching emotional regulation skills. When students are calm, they're more receptive to learning. This is the time to introduce and practice those coping strategies, teaching them kind of how to recognize their emotions, use their self-control, and apply those coping strategies when they're not overwhelmed prepares them for those really tough moments. It's about building a toolkit that they can rely on when things get challenging. Of course, even with proactive teaching, there's gonna be times when students are right in the middle of a big, emotional meltdown, and we need to step in and provide immediate support. And that's where having simple, effective strategies does come in handy. As special education teachers, our days are busy, super fast-paced. We need strategies that are super quick. We want tools that work across different age groups and situations. And these aren't just for the students, they're for us too. When we have a few kind of go-to techniques ready, we can respond more calmly and effectively in that moment. So the first strategy is to listen. The most important technique when a student is struggling with emotions is to actively listen to them. And I learned a lot about this in my TCIS training, which is Therapeutic Crisis Intervention, something or other. I've taken it so many times now, but it's really about active listening. So listening isn't just about hearing the words that is coming out of their mouths. It's understanding what's beneath what they're saying. Sometimes students don't need a solution right away. They want to feel heard and validated and have a space to vent. So asking open-ended questions like, "What's going on, hon?" or "How are you feeling?" can encourage them to share more, and it really gives us the insight we need to kind of support them better. The next strategy is co-regulation. This is a powerful tool where we sit with the students and help them calm down together. It's about modeling that coping skill we want them to use. So by co-regulating, we're not telling kids what to do. We're showing them. We're not saying, "Calm down, go sit down." We are calm. We are going to go sit next to them and work on these co-regulation skills together. So this might look like sitting down to color together, or reading a book, or practicing mindfulness side by side. The key is whatever we're doing it with them. We're guiding them through the process until they can do it on their own. We would never teach them once to tie their shoe and then wonder why the heck they didn't learn to tie their shoe. We have to model and practice this. So don't think that you're like, "Well, I already taught her to calm down. She didn't learn it the first time." You need to sit down with that student and show them over and over and over again until they can do it on their own. All right, number 3 is give them space. Sometimes I see a lot of teachers forgetting about this strategy. Sometimes the best support we can offer is to give students space. When they feel overwhelmed, some students just need time alone to kind of process their thoughts, their feelings, their emotions. Giving them space doesn't mean we're abandoning them. It just means we're letting them know that when they're ready, we're here. So using simple phrases like, "I'm here when you need me," or "We can talk about this later if you'd like," can be incredibly reassuring. It's really about respecting their need for time to regain control before they're ready to re-engage with the teacher or the classroom. Strategy number 4 is distraction. This can be a useful tool when students just need a mental break from really overwhelming emotions. A quick change of focus can kind of help them reset. This could be as simple as asking them to kind of help with a task, or telling a funny story, or asking them about their day, or a favorite hobby, or how about that Fortnite last night, or whatever it is, shifting their focus away from that emotion, that's kind of overwhelming them, and giving them kind of that brain break. And I know it's a short-term strategy, but that can make a big difference to helping them get back on track. And I've seen a lot of people kind of forget this step too. Like, well, I don't want them to just, not think about what they need to be thinking about. Sometimes when they're not calm enough, or when they're not regulated enough, they need kind of a quick distraction, so it kind of gets them back on track. All right, the last strategy I want to talk about is kind of using artistic-y stuff, so drawing, writing-ish. So not all students can verbalize their feelings easily, which is kind of where drawing or writing can come in. And these methods offer that, non-threatening way for students to express themselves. So whether it's writing a letter about their feelings or drawing a picture or journaling, I've seen so many kids love journaling and writing out their feelings. These activities give students a different outlet to kind of process and communicate their emotions. It's especially helpful for those who might struggle with talking about how they feel. If you have a student, especially boys, who, I don't want to talk about it, sometimes you just can't call it journaling. You can say, here's a notebook. You can do what you want with it. Sometimes we have those 7th graders or 6th graders or any middle school child who just is like, I don't write in a journal, So we want to make sure that they feel like they're not doing something out of their own element, but it gives them a way to kind of express their feelings too. Now, for this specific strategy, it's not going to work for everyone. There are tons of kids who hate drawing and writing. So forcing this on someone is not going to be the great tool. Like, you need to draw me a picture. That's not what this strategy is about. If you know that your student loves writing or loves drawing, this is a great tool to use to help them, to get them to express themselves better. All right, and there you have it. 5 powerful ways to help students manage those big emotions. Remember, it's not about fixing their feelings for them. We don't want to do that. We want to guide them through the process of understanding how to cope with their feelings. All right, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Teach, Test, Box, Inspire. Until next time, guys, bye-bye. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Teach, Test, Box, Inspire. I hope you've gained some tips and motivation to fuel your week ahead. If you're ready to explore more strategies for empowering your students as independent learners, be sure to dive into my free training at chalkboardsuperhero.com/training. And don't keep all this knowledge to yourself. Share this episode with your special education teacher friends who could use some motivation and inspiration. One more thing before you go. If you're finding this podcast helpful and want to show support, head to Apple Podcasts and leave your rating and review. Until next time, keep teaching, task boxing, and inspiring.